It's recording.
It's recording.
Hey, everyone play it cool.
Alright, so we're going to use what we did yesterday, the B over C's. But we actually have to figure out which ones are solutions. And to do that, we're going to use synthetic division.
No, that's B. That's form B.
So you're giving me two?
No, let's do that one. To do two,
Okay. So we're going to have to do, so if you missed yesterday, what we're going to do here at the beginning with the B over C's is what we did yesterday. So that should help you with your makeup assignment. Alright, so first we have to do our B over C, so we can see what our possible answers are going to be. Where do we get our B from?
The last one.
Okay, your 6. They're all the factors of 6 are your B. So what are the factors of 6?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright, plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay, then we have a C, which are your factors of your leading coefficient, which is the 2. So you'd have 1 and 2. You take those two to find your possible rational zeros. Okay, we make a fraction out of them. So first, I would take all your B's and I'd use C as my denominator, the 1. So if I put them all over 1, does it change their value? No. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, and 6. That's with 1 as your denominator. Then you have to put them all over 2. So what would those be?
Well, 6 over 2 would just be 3, so we can.
1 half
And so
and
2
3
would
halves.
just be 1.
Right. So 2 over 2 would just be 1, which we already have. So we need 1 half and 3 halves. And the other 2 are already taken care of. So 6 halves is 3. So this is all our possible rational zeros. To see which
Man,
ones are actual
we're recording.
solutions.
Is unlocked.
We're recording, Miss Oswald.
Alright.
Some people.
I know, really. Okay, to see which ones are solutions to our problem, you do synthetic division. If you do synthetic division and you get 0 as your remainder, then it is a solution to the problem. It goes in there evenly. It's a factor. Does everybody understand that concept? Factors divide in evenly with a 0 remainder. So when you have a problem like our original here that is a cube, we want to get it down to where it's a square, so then if it's a square, I can use the quadratic formula to find the last 2 answers. So how many times do I have to do synthetic division if it's a cube to start out with so that it's a square? 1. Alright, so we have to find one of these numbers that goes in there evenly, and then I can do quadratic formula on what I have left.
Oh my gosh.
I'll do a few here and then I'll skip ahead because I already know which one goes in there because I've already done it. Alright, so I'm going to try 1 first. I'm just going to go in order. So we do 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2. That's a lot of possibilities.
You have to do each one. So, in this case, I'm confused. So,
I
like,
wonder took you like 30 minutes.
if you use one, how do you know if it's right?
If you get a 0 remainder. If you
Oh,
don't,
yeah,
then you
yeah.
try the next one.
Okay,
Okay?
that's good.
So that's what we're looking for is a 0 remainder. If you get like halfway through it and you can tell it's not going to be a 0, you can just move on to the next one. Okay, so what do I do first when I'm doing synthetic division? Drop down my 2, then I'm going to multiply and then add. Okay, multiply, add. That's not going to give me a 0, right? So that one didn't work. So I'd move on to try negative 1.
Oh my gosh, you have to do this.
Okay, now we keep going. And so I'll just skip ahead and tell you, because I did all these earlier, it's 3 halves.
The last option.
Oh my god.
Alright.
No.
Yeah, I have like 4 pages of division here, but okay,
I'm
whatever.
freaking out. I'll say it.
You're not even having to do this. Stop talking about it. Okay, so I drop my 2 down. What's 3 halves times 2? 3. 3. And negative 4 times 3 halves.
6.
Negative 6. And then there's a negative 4, so it'd be negative 6 again. 0 remainder, which is what we want. So that means one of my answers is 3 halves.
1.
That's one of my solutions. It's a cube, right? So you have 3 solutions. But now that I've done it once, what would the exponent be for this? If I were to write the answer out.
2x squared minus.
Yeah, it would be 2x squared minus 4x minus 4. Because remember, you take 1 off each time you do synthetic division. Yeah.
So every time there's an x cubed, you have 3 solutions.
Yes.
And every time there's an x,
Squared, you have 2. There's 4. You have 4.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought we talked about that yesterday. You're probably ignoring me.
That's
I
why I
can't.
zoned out.
You zoned out on me there for a second. Alright, so we don't have to write it like this. We don't have to put the x's in there. Just know if you have a cube, when you get done, this is your A, your B, and your C that we need to plug into the quadratic formula so we can find the last 2 solutions. So for the quadratic formula, you do negative B, so that's 4, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Alright, so you plug it into the quadratic formula, which I end up with 4 plus or minus radical 48 all over 4. So what goes into 48 that you can square root?
16.
16. 16 times 3, so that's 4 radical 3. So I have 4 plus or minus 4 radical 3 over 4.
Can you just make that plus
Yeah.
minus 1?
So what could I do with that?
1.
Cancel your 4's out. You have to put a 1 here for this one. So your final answer for those two is 1 plus or minus radical 3. Now how many answers is that? 1 plus or minus radical 3? 2. 1 plus radical 3 and 1 minus radical 3. And then the 3 halves we already found gives us our 3 solutions. Okay?
Oh
This is a lot.
It's just a lot, but you know, when you guys are working on these later, you can kind of, split it up where, hey, you try this one and I'll try this one.
I feel so bad for the kids who are absent.
So they can cheat, is what you're saying.
It's on the assignment. That's
Are you
not
on
really
the test?
cheating. It's kind of group fitting. On the test, I put problems that you don't have to try like very many before you find the one that works. So I didn't
What
like
if we put
torture
them in a
you.
weird order?
Well, then you're not smart because I just told you not to do that.
Like,
Whatever.
this case,
Yes.
I'm really not trying to be like.
Oh my God, no! Don't even start with me. I don't want to hear it. I know what you're gonna ask.
What was she gonna ask? You know that's on a recording,
That's
right?
exactly what
Yes, I know what she's gonna
Yeah,
ask.
and you said told her to shut up, so. That's
Yeah,
on
I
a
hope it
recording.
is recorded. I told
Well,
her
I
to shut
actually
up.
think this is interesting.
All right.
Okay,
It's
Cameron.
interesting to do, but, like, I just want to know why.
All right. B.
You can solve every single X thing you get.
When are you
With
ever
this stuff.
going to need
Yes,
to?
you can.
That's
We don't want
exciting.
to.
It is. Like somebody thought of that. I
I
think
don't
it's
even
pretty
remember how we
ingenious,
got to
really.
this point.
I think it's pain.
Wasn't me, but whatever.
Like you can solve anything.
Yes. Okay. On this one, what are your B's? This is one off of your assignment that I'm helping you with. So plus or minus 1. Okay, your C's are factors of 2, because that's your leading coefficient. So here's where you get your C. Factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So if we do our B over C, what do we get? Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1 half. So there's only 4 possibilities there.
Nice.
So let's split it up. Who wants to try 1? I can call on people.
Sure, I'll try
Alright. Negative 1?
I got it. I got it.
Okay, positive half.
I got it.
Thank you. Negative 1 half. Okay, there you go. Good.
Wait.
Sweet.
So we have to do it for each plus and minus too?
No, you're only doing 1. Whatever one you said you were going to
No,
do.
I mean
Yeah,
Like-
you do minus
Yeah.
case.
like in an actual
That would be
problem.
4 possibilities, yes.
Yeah, that means on the one that we had like 12. We both had to do it.
You won't have any like that, but yes, you would have to try it.
24.
Hey, is there always one solution? Is there multiple?
On the ones that are cubed, there would no. On
You
the
know what I
ones that are
mean?
cubed, there would just be one.
Oh, so if it's like,
But if it's a fourth or a fifth power, like you could have more than one. We'll do one of those here in a minute. I won't make you do fifth power, but we do fourth power. Do. Did you find one that has 0? What is it? -1/2. That's good. All right. So if you divide it by -1/2, let's see, it's 2, -7, -6, -1. Drop your 2. Do -1/2 times 2 is -1. This would be a -8. And then 4, -2, 1. Gives you a 0 remainder. Okay? Alright. So remember, this is now that I have my one answer, which is -1/2, I'm going to circle it. This is your A, your B, and your C. So you plug those into the quadratic formula. So if you don't know the quadratic formula, you better get to learning it. So that'd be -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay. So I worked that out, and I got radical 80 there. So radical 80, how does that simplify?
4 radical 5.
4 radical 5, 16 times 5, so 8 plus or minus 4 radical 5 divided by 4. I can divide everything by 4, so this changes to a 2. 2 plus or minus radical 5. So those are your 3 answers. The -1/2 and the 2 plus or minus radical 5. Okay? I'll show you on this next one. Shortcut to write, it's just to make it a little bit shorter with writing out all of the synthetic divisions. Alright, so we're going to do, what number did I just do? 34? Okay, let's do 36. This is one of yours. Well, x to the 4th minus 11 x squared plus 12x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so how many solutions should this one have? Oh, 4? Yeah, because my largest exponent is 4, so we need to find 4 answers. So how many times do I have to do synthetic division? Twice. You have to do it till you get down to a square, and then you can do the quadratic formula. So first thing I need to do is B over C. Remember, if your leading coefficient is 1, your B over C are just the factors of your constant, because they would all be over 1, which doesn't change them. So what are my factors of 4?
4, 2, and 1.
Okay, so 1, 2, and 4. Alright? So I divide those out. I don't know which one works, so I don't have that one worked out. When I'm putting, I'll just try one first here. Oh, I was going to show you the shortcut. Okay. First we need to list over our coefficients. So it starts with the 4th power. What do I put if there's no 3rd power? 0 there. And we'll have a 2nd power, 1st power, and a constant. So for this shorter version, it keeps you from rewriting your coefficients every time. You're just going to write them once. Alright. And over here on the side, is where we're going to put the numbers that we're dividing by. So our first one is a positive 1. And you don't have to do the shortcut if you don't want to. So you drop your coefficient down inside of the box here. What it's going to miss is that whole row where you put what you got when you multiply it. So you just have to remember that. So you're going to multiply these two and add, and then put the answer here instead of putting the answer there and then adding. So what's 1 times 1? 1 plus 0.
1.
1. That goes here. Then you go 1 times 1
10.
plus negative 11, negative 10. 1 times negative 10 plus 12.
2.
Alright, 1 times 2. That's not going to give me 0. I know that doesn't work. So now I would try negative 1. Drop the 1 down. So you're done with this row. You just ignore it. Drop the 1 down from up here. I do negative 1 times 1 plus 0. Then you do negative 1 times negative 1 times a negative, or plus a negative 11. Right, and that would be a positive 10. Plus 12 would be 22, so that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm done with that. Then I would try 2. Drop my 1 down. 2 times 1 plus 0. 2 times 2 plus a negative 11. 2 times negative 7. Negative 14 plus 12.
Yes.
And then negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus 4, 0. Alright, so 2 is one of my answers. I have to use synthetic division again to find another answer before I can put it into the quadratic formula, because right now it would be a cube if I wrote that out. We have to get it down to a square. Alright, so at this point, we have to kind of start over. We don't need that 0. That was your remainder. But I do need a new B over C. Because I have a new C value. Okay, it's not 4 like that other one. This one's a 2. So what are my possible, my leading coefficient's still 1. So I only have to worry about factors of a negative 2, which are what? 1 and 2. Okay. So those are what I'm going to use to divide this out. So I'm going to put a 1 here, drop my 1 down. 1 times 1 plus 2. 1 times 3 plus a negative 7 is a negative 4. Okay, that's not going to give me a 0. So I try negative 1, drop my 1 down. That would be 1. Negative 8, so no. Positive 2, drop my 1 down. 2, that'd be 4, 8, 1, that'd be 0. Alright, so 2 is, so I have two 2's as a solution, which is fine. Alright, now, what do I do with these 3 numbers? Put them in the quadratic formula. So that's my A, your B, and your C. Once you get down to where you have 3, that's what you would do. So I'd have negative,
So in this case,
yeah,
so you're trying to find binomials that will go into the, right?
yes. So if you wrote it, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. If I wrote these out, it's like factors.
It's like a big deal. Yeah.
Right. This, because I have those 2 there, positive 2's, that means x minus 2 and x minus 2 would be factors. If I could have factored it, it would have factored.
Oh, those times each other would be a factor?
Those are 2 of my factors. That's where I got my 2 positive 2's that I got with synthetic division. If I wrote them out as actual factors, that's what they would have been. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So, okay, my question is like, since I started out with an x to the 4th, if I had an x to the 5th, would I have to do the synthetic division 3 times?
Yes.
Okay. And in 6, I'd have to do it 4 times,
Right.
etc.
Yes. Okay, so plug this into the quadratic formula. So negative equals minus b squared minus 4ac. Okay. So you get negative 4 plus or minus radical 12 divided by 2. What's radical 12 simplified to? 2 radical 3. Divide everything by 2. I get -2 plus or minus radical 3. Those are your last two. So those are your 4 answers. 2, 2, and that. Alright, think you can do those on your own, the rest of them? Okay. I know it's time consuming, it's not hard, it's just time consuming.
What's the
But on the
sign?
homework you can help each other and that's fine. What do you say, Marie?
What's the sign?
I'm getting ready to tell you what this time
Oh. I'm gonna put the recording.
So we did 34 and 36. I'm gonna do 38, 42, 46. That's it for today. So you have 3 problems. It's not gonna kill you.
Only took us like half an hour.